Ever feel like you're just like drowning in emotions?
Oh, yeah.
Well, imagine being a kid, especially one on the autism spectrum, right?
Right.
Trying to navigate those big feelings without always having the words. So that's where our deep dive takes us today.
Okay.
Right into art therapy and how it helps these kids find their voice.
Yeah.
We've got a fantastic blog post from AkindaCo.
Oh.
They're experts in this field, and I'm really excited to unpack it with you.
I'm excited, too.
So maybe you can kick us off here.
Sure.
What's the key to understanding these big emotions in kids?
I think the key here is understanding that these big emotions,
Yeah.
they aren't just something to fix.
Okay.
They're like a flashing neon sign, pointing to what's happening inside a child's world.
You know, I've always wondered about that.
Yeah.
Like, if a child's having a meltdown,
Right.
is it truly just a tantrum, or is there something more going on?
Absolutely. And that's actually where some of the traditional approaches to dealing with those emotions can fall short. Talking it out's great, but for neurodivergent kids,
Yeah.
it's not always the most effective way to process what they're feeling.
Yeah, I see that.
It's like trying to explain a vivid dream with
Oh,
just a dictionary.
right.
Lose all the color and nuance.
So then how does art therapy bridge that gap?
So think of it as like a sensory shortcut, straight to the emotional centers of the brain.
Okay.
Instead of words, you've got colors, you've got textures, the physical act of creating.
Right.
And it's a language that speaks directly to the amygdala,
Okay.
which is that part of the brain that processes emotions.
Wow. So it's not just about like drawing a pretty picture.
Right.
It's about engaging different parts of the brain that help make sense of those feelings.
Precisely. And that's what makes it so powerful for
Powerful.
these neurodivergent kids.
Okay.
You know, the amygdala doesn't always play by the same rules in autistic brains.
Right.
Art therapy taps into a different processing system,
Okay.
allowing kids to express and understand their emotions on a whole new level.
I see. So AkindaCo mentions some specific benefits of art therapy. Can you walk us through those?
Sure, let's start with the obvious one.
Okay.
Nonverbal communication.
Right.
Kids can speak their emotions through art even if they can't articulate them verbally,
Right.
but there's more to it.
Okay.
The sensory engagement is huge.
Okay.
You know, imagine swirling your hands in finger paint or the satisfying squish of clay. That tactile feedback can be incredibly grounding,
Right.
especially when big emotions feel overwhelming.
It's like a physical way to kind of anchor yourself
Exactly.
when your emotions are spinning.
And then you've got emotional processing. Creating art can be like opening a pressure valve.
Okay.
It provides a safe container
Yeah.
for kids to explore these complex feelings like anger, joy, or sadness without fear of judgment.
So they're not just expressing those emotions, they're actually working through them in a healthy way.
Yes. Let's say a child is struggling with anger. Through art, they might choose really bold colors, sharp lines, or even scribble violently on the page.
Right.
It's a controlled release of that energy, guided by the therapist.
So AkindaCo mentions a few different techniques, like mandala drawing. How does that work?
So mandala drawing, with its intricate patterns and repetitive motions, it can be incredibly calming.
Okay.
It helps regulate breathing, heart rate, promoting a sense of relaxation and focus.
So it's almost like a meditative practice,
Almost.
but with crayons instead of chanting.
Exactly.
So it's not just about letting loose with paint. There's real structure and intention behind these techniques.
Absolutely. And that structure is key.
Okay.
Another technique, scribble drawing, helps kids tap into their subconscious thoughts and emotions.
Okay.
The therapist might have them scribble blindly and then explore those shapes and patterns that emerge,
Okay.
guiding them to make connections between their art and their feelings.
Wow. That's insightful. I never realized how much depth there was to these art therapy techniques.
There's a lot more than meets the eye.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like those big emotions,
Yeah.
they can manifest in the process itself.
Right.
Like a child might get frustrated if their artwork isn't perfect,
Right.
or if they struggle with a particular technique.
Yeah. It makes sense.
Everyone gets frustrated sometimes,
No,
especially when trying something new.
But here's where the art therapist comes in.
Okay.
They help the child navigate that frustration,
Right.
turning it into a learning opportunity for emotional regulation. So it's about teaching them coping skills for those inevitable moments
Yeah.
when things don't go as planned, both in art and in life.
I see. So the art therapist isn't just there to provide supplies and instruction.
Right.
They're actively guiding the child's emotional journey through art. That's a really crucial role.
Absolutely. The therapist provides that safe and supportive space
Okay.
for exploration,
Yeah.
offering insights, interpretations, and encouragement along the way.
And I imagine like building that rapport with the child is super important.
Yeah.
Especially if they're struggling to communicate verbally.
It's paramount.
Okay.
A skilled art therapist is attuned to the child's nonverbal cues, their body language, choices of colors and materials.
Yeah.
They create a connection that goes beyond words, building trust and understanding through the shared language of art.
It sounds like a very intuitive and individualized approach.
Exactly.
Which makes sense given like the unique needs of each child.
Precisely. It's not about force-feeding interpretations or applying a one-size-fits-all method.
Right.
It's about meeting the child where they are, honoring their individual expression, and providing the tools and support they need to thrive.
So it's so much more than just arts and crafts.
Right.
It's a powerful therapeutic intervention.
Yeah.
But what about outside of those therapy sessions?
Yeah.
Can parents and caregivers bring some of these concepts home?
Absolutely. And that's something we'll delve into more in a bit.
Okay, so before we move on,
I
just want to make sure I'm understanding this right.
Uh-huh.
So art therapy isn't about erasing those big emotions, but about giving kids a safe and healthy way to express and understand them.
You got it.
Okay.
It's about empowering them to navigate that emotional landscape with confidence and resilience.
Awesome. Well, let's take a quick break and we'll come back and talk about how to do that at home.
Sounds good.
So we've talked about how powerful art therapy can be.
Yeah.
But how do we actually bring this into our homes? Like, what can parents and caregivers actually do?
Right. Well, AkindaCo had some really good tips.
Okay.
And I think one of the most important things is to create a dedicated art space at home.
Okay, so we're not talking about, like, just handing them a coloring book at the kitchen table.
Right.
What makes this space different?
It's about creating a sense of freedom and permission to explore.
Okay.
Think about it. When a kid feels like they can get messy, experiment, make mistakes without judgment, their inhibitions start to melt away.
Okay.
And their true emotions can surface through their art.
So it's almost like giving them an emotional playground.
Exactly.
Where they can kind of let their feelings run wild.
Right.
In a safe and contained way.
And stock it with a variety of materials.
Okay.
Paint, clay, crayons, yarn, natural objects, whatever sparks their interest.
Right.
Let them choose what speaks to them in that moment.
Yeah, I love that. It gives them like a sense of agency and control
Exactly.
over their creative process.
And it goes back to that honoring and validating their experience.
So AkindaCo also talks about like giving kids choices when it comes to expressing these big emotions.
Right. It's about acknowledging that there are many ways to process feelings.
Right.
Maybe one day your child wants to pound clay to release anger.
Okay.
And the next, they want to draw soft flowing lines to express sadness.
So it's about providing options and kind of letting them lead the way.
Exactly.
So what about when they get stuck?
Yeah.
Or frustrated?
Right.
We talked about how art therapists navigate those moments. What can parents and caregivers do?
Well, this is where your role as a supportive guide comes in.
Okay.
Remember, you don't need to be an art expert to help your child connect with their emotions through art. Sometimes just being present, validating their feelings, offering encouragement is enough.
So instead of jumping in with solutions or trying to fix their frustration,
exactly,
we should focus on validating their experience.
Yes, you could say something like,
okay,
it sounds like you're feeling really frustrated right now. I see you're working hard on that. What's making it tricky?
Right, which acknowledges their struggle without dismissing their feelings.
And you can actually use the art itself as a springboard for conversation. Instead of asking, what is that? Try something like, can you tell me about the colors you chose?
Okay.
Or what were you thinking about when you made this?
So we're using the art as a tool for communication and emotional exploration. I like that.
It could be really powerful.
AkindaCo also stresses the importance of normalizing big emotions.
Yes, absolutely.
Right. And I think this is where we as adults have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
We try to suppress
Right.
or dismiss our own emotions sometimes,
Right.
which sends the message that certain feelings are bad or unacceptable.
Absolutely.
So we need to model healthy emotional expression
Yes.
for our kids.
Talk about your own feelings openly and honestly.
Okay.
Let them see you experience a range of emotions.
Yeah.
Joy, sadness, anger, frustration, and how you cope with them in healthy ways.
I think that's such an important point.
Yeah.
Kids are always watching,
Yeah.
learning from us, even when we don't realize it.
Right.
So by showing them that it's okay to feel all their feelings, we're giving them permission to be their authentic selves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what it's all about, helping these kids embrace their full emotional spectrum and navigate the world with confidence and resilience.
And AkindaCo really emphasizes that art therapy is a celebration of neurodiversity.
It is.
It's about recognizing that there's no one right way to experience or express emotions.
And that each child's unique perspective deserves to be honored and valued.
Absolutely. It's about creating a world where every child feels seen, heard, and understood, regardless of how they communicate or process their emotions.
I love that.
I love that too. So even if we're not trained art therapists, we can still incorporate these core principles into our interactions with kids.
Absolutely.
It's about providing that safe space, encouraging creative expression, and validating their emotional experiences.
And you know what? It doesn't have to be complicated.
Okay.
Something as simple as offering a variety of art materials. Turning off that judgmental voice in our heads.
Right.
And really listening to what their art is trying to tell us.
Right.
Can make a world of difference.
Wow, this has been such an insightful deep dive into art therapy. I'm already thinking about how I can apply some of these ideas at home.
I am too.
What final thoughts would you leave our listeners with? As we've been talking, I keep coming back to this idea of art as a universal language. It goes beyond words, cultural barriers, even developmental differences.
It's powerful, right?
Yeah.
It taps into something primal, a way of communicating that's been with us since the dawn of humanity.
Yeah, think about cave paintings.
Exactly.
Those weren't just decorations, they were stories, emotions, a way of making sense of the world.
And in a way, that's what art therapy does for these kids.
Yeah.
It helps them tell their stories, express their emotions in a way that feels safe and natural to them.
It gives them a voice even when the words might be elusive.
Exactly.
And it allows us as parents, caregivers, educators to listen in a whole new way. We're not just looking at a picture. We're getting a glimpse into their inner world.
Yeah. Love that.
And AkindaCo made a point that really resonated with me. Art therapy isn't just about managing emotions. It's about empowering kids to understand and express their full emotional range.
It's about shifting our perspective.
Okay.
From fixing to understanding. We're so quick to label big emotions as bad or inappropriate.
Yeah.
But what if we saw them as valuable data points, a way of understanding what a child needs in that moment?
It's like those emotions are trying to tell us something.
Right.
But we need to learn how to decipher the message.
Yes.
And art therapy provides the key.
Exactly. So instead of shutting down those emotions, we can use art to help kids explore them.
Yeah.
Understand where they're coming from.
Okay.
And develop healthy coping mechanisms.
So it's about building emotional literacy.
Exactly.
Not just emotional control.
And I think that's a crucial distinction.
Yeah.
It's not about erasing those big feelings.
Right.
It's about giving kids the tools to navigate them.
Right.
With confidence and resilience.
And what's beautiful about art therapy is it embraces the messy, unpredictable nature of emotions.
It does.
There's no right or wrong answer. There's no one-size-fits-all approach.
It's about meeting each child where they are.
Right.
And honoring their unique way of expressing themselves.
And AkindaCo really hammered home that message of celebrating neurodiversity.
They did. It's so important.
Yeah.
It's not about fitting these kids into a predetermined mold. It's about letting them shine.
Yeah.
In their own unique way.
And art provides the perfect canvas.
It does.
For that self-expression to flourish.
It allows them to break free.
Okay.
From the constraints of language and logic and tap into a deeper, more intuitive form of communication.
It's like giving them a permission slip. to be their authentic selves without judgment or expectation.
And that, I think, is the greatest gift we can give any child. The freedom to express themselves fully, embrace their individuality, and to know that their unique voice deserves to be heard.
This deep dive has been so eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's made me realize that art therapy is so much more than just arts and crafts.
Right.
It's a powerful tool for connection, healing, and empowerment.
It's a reminder that within each child, there's a wellspring of creativity and resilience waiting to be tapped.
And sometimes all it takes is a paintbrush, a lump of clay, and a listening heart to unlock their full potential.
Beautifully said.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I hope this deep dive has inspired our listeners to see the world through a more colorful lens. One that embraces the power of art to transform lives.
And perhaps even to pick up a paintbrush themselves.
Right.
And see where their own creative journey takes them.
That's a fantastic idea. Thanks for joining me on this incredible exploration of art therapy.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, keep diving deep and keep those creative sparks flying.